Hey, how's it all going? I hope this video is finding you safe and well and you're having a good day. So yeah, what's going on? What's going on in the garage today? Got a bit of a mess, to be fair. I've just finished my old fish processing table, as I like to call it. You might have seen that video, you might not, but yeah, doesn't really matter. For now though, somebody's given me this 1084 they've fashioned into a blade that they like, and they haven't really got the gear to harden and temper it or put a bevel on it. So what I'm going to do, what they want me to do, is I'm going to harden and temper it, and I'm going to put a rough bevel on it, and they're going to hand sand it up and put some handles on it and all the rest of that sort of carry on. So what I've gone and done, just as a bit of a sidetrack, I've gone and bought some more belts for the old 2x72. It's been a while since I've had that going, so she's got a bit of a plastic bag covering at the moment because the shed leaks like a sieve, but that's another story. And what I've gone and done is got myself a little bit of a variety of zirconia belts this time. Normally I'll get ceramic, but yeah, these are a little bit cheaper, so I thought I'd give them a go. So I'll get back to you and we'll see how those go and tell you what I think of them, really, I suppose. And yeah, so without much more jibber jabber, I guess this will be a little bit about grinding bevels on a knife, this one in particular. So we'll get stuck into it and see what we come up with here. So one point to note, he was a little bit worried about getting distortion if he heat treated it with a gas torch or whatever. What I tend to do, not what I tend to do at all, it's exactly what I do, is I'll take it out of the harden and I'll stick it in this little vice thing that I made here. Get it clean so we don't get a mess. Yeah, so what I do is I stick it in there, comes straight out of the harden. Probably won't see that, but you might, who knows, you might hear it. And put it into there like that, and then rattle gun that down as hard as I can. Of course, it's got to be, if you know anything about hardening, tempering, yeah, that's going. Know anything about hardening and tempering or whatever, it's got to be down below a certain temperature, but not too cold because it'll be hard when it comes out. It usually works pretty reasonable for me. The other thing you can do, you can try and flame straighten them when it's done, or what you also can do is when you temper it, just clamp on some angle irons on both sides. That's worked for me in the past as well, but that's what I'm going to do. Another point, if you can see that, normally I would take the rough edge off of the bevel first because it's a little bit hard on the belts. I'll normally put bevels on once I've heat treated it, which is what I'm going to do with this one here. But this is quite thin, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. And I've got old belts, and that's what I'll use as before I go to the zirconia. Probably can't see that one there. I've got a Cubitron 36 grit, but it's quite an old worn one, still works. And that's what I'll just take that initial edge off with before I get stuck into doing the grinding, but you'll see that anyway, hopefully. Yeah, would you do it in a heat treating oven? If you had one, of course you would. But this old forge thing here costs about 200 New Zealand dollars for me to build. And the cheapest heat treating oven I could find online was about $5,500, so this is what I use. Let's go. So I don't know how well you can see it in that lighting, but that's how it's got to be, I'm afraid to say. She's had to harden, if you can see that. Skates the file, slipping over it, no worries at all. So now I'm going to stick it in, take my gloves off, make sure it's not hot at all. Stick it in the old benchtop oven. If you're going to use one of these benchtop ovens, you might note, and I've said in other videos, that I've got a oven thermometer in there. these things tend to ramp up and ramp down and go all over the place. This one here, the old gauge doesn't really read what it is. So I'm going to stick it in there for 2 hour cycles on about 190 degrees C, I think, or whatever the recipe says on the website. So we'll give it 2 hours, let it cool down, come back and do it again. So while that's in the oven, we've got a wee bit of time just to ponder and muck around. So I thought I'd have a look at my next project, what I was trying to do, or the idea. Had a bit of stainless lying around. You can see it's sort of reject stuff that's sort of thrown away because it's a bit stained and pitted and whatever. But it'll work for what I've got to do. What I wanted to do is make a fish smoker. If you're following the channel, you'll see that I made a fish processing table. Of course, I've got to get better at catching fish, but that's another story. And so if I thought I'd use this old crusty stainless and make myself a smoker and try and make it so it doesn't need to be welded, but sort of gone a bit astray on that. So what I've got in here is just 2 halves, 2 sides folded up, and yeah, I'm going to bolt those together. And I've got a cage that I put in here, and I've got all my old offcuts. You see a heap of welds on there. All my old offcuts of 3.2 TIG welding wire, and I've just welded them together and made long lengths. So yeah, that's the next project. So if you're new to the channel, you might be interested. If you're following the channel, you might also be interested. Or you might not be interested, but we've got to wait for that knife to temper. And so yeah, I just sort of have a look at this and move on to the next project. To be fair, I've probably got too many projects going at once. I've got to make some knife sheaths for the old Mark 1 Hunters too. All in good time though. So yeah, just wait out and we'll get those that knife tempered, yeah. So what you just saw me doing was a bit of surface grinding just to clean it up a little bit before I start doing a bevel, yeah. I've got this blade now surface ground. I've put some marks on there where I want to go to with that there. Before we carry on though, that's what I used. One of these gator belts. Not sure what grit it is, but that's what I use on the surface grinder. The mill scale and stuff, if you do get any mill scale, it's pretty hard on your belt, so you probably want to polish that off first before you start going, I think. But so yeah, the old gator belt, they are quite costly, but they do last a real long time. And that one, yeah, gives up a good, brings up a good surface and doesn't really take much any meat off it really. This man makes it a little bit flatter too, so that's all good. But yeah, what am I saying? So I've done that. I've put some marks on there. You probably won't be able to see down there. I've put 2 little marks on there, so it's giving me something to aim for. So if you, yeah, doing your bevels. So what I've got here, if you can see, I've taken off the old work table thing and I've made up a little, just a little piece there. And all I use that for, because I do the freehand grinds, all I do in that for is to rest my fingers on like so. So I don't know if you can see or not, I haven't got it yet, but I have a bucket of water over there. I do wear gloves, so I'll bring it onto the belt, bring it across with my thumb on there, and I can feel the heat and straight in the water. So it's a bit of a messy process, but just the way you got to do. You do not want to overheat this now. It's been hardened and tempered. So like I said, I've got my 36 grit Cubitron on there, and all I'm going to do is just take off the bevels there, which you'll see, and bring it onto there and go. If you're new to doing it, you sort of need to be in the right headspace to do these, because yeah, it can go wrong pretty quick. But practice, you'll get right. Hopefully I can get this right today. One thing you do want to note is you want to be coming into your belt flat. You don't want to be coming on an angle like that. You'll get grooves in it. So what I'll do, I'll start at an angle that's exaggerated, an angle like that, bring it across, and then I'll work that bevel down to where I want it to be. So I'll start with the 36 and just knock the edge off, and then I'll go to the 60, and we'll, once I've finished with this belt, we'll get into the, what are they called, zirconia belts. I'll just go down to the 60. I'll get the majority of the bevel cut out with the 60, and then I'll just, once the 60's done, then it'll just be sort of blending and getting rid of, yeah, just getting rid of some of the scratches. So with that being said, we'll get stuck into that. Oh, one more point. I don't know if you can see the VFD up there, but I would recommend, and what I do, I slow my belts down, gives me more control, and it's just not ripping off metal too hard and it'll get too hot. So I slow it down to about probably 55% of what it does on there. So that's only my opinion. So yeah, let's get stuck into it. So yeah, that's all I'm going to do with the 36. You can see I've just taken that rough corner off there, just roughed that off because those corners, because it's hardened and tempered, that's a little bit hard on the new belt. So what I'm going to do now, I've moved over to the 60 grit. There's a bit of ice in my water bucket actually from sitting on the floor, but move over to my 60 grit and move that bevel to where I want. So I'll get that quite close to that line first, sort of that's exaggerated on that sort of angle like that, and then I'll move that bevel down, yeah, move it down like that. Be wearing gloves naturally. Yeah, so if you're looking here and there's needs more off there when I'm going, I'll get my thumb further up the top, put the pressure on in the middle, and just pull that around. It's not a huge amount of pressure. I'm going to let the belt do the work and bring that around. When you get to the tip, you might note, like I say, you need to be flat. That's the main thing to think about. That way, if you're doing this, you'll get grooves in it, which will be real hard to get out. So try and keep it flat, which is hard to start, but yeah, this table's a little bit high. When you get to the tip, you might note that it's pulling out this way sort of thing, but I'm still keeping like the center, if you can imagine a tangent to it, and just pulling that around, and it'll still be in here flat to the wheel. It's just sometimes as you're going through, you'll get more meat on the tip you just need to take out. So yeah, with that being said, we'll get stuck into the 60 grit. Another point, you want to don't try flogging it out with old belts because you'll get quite uneven. If you can afford to, you want to get fresh belts when you start doing these bevels. And you may need to change the belt for it. I don't know. This one should be all right. But yeah, get fresh belts. Don't try and use worn ones because I've tried that in the past and made quite a mess of it. So yeah, let's get stuck into it. So the 60 grit seems to be working, the zirconia seems to be working pretty good. That side's not too bad. I'm not sure if you can see, but over on this side here, I'm working that bevel down, yeah. You can see, you might be able to see a little line on there, so I need a bit more there. So I'm going to bring that over to there, I'll get that out of the way, and I'll be putting my thumb there, right on that point there, and then just blending it in slowly. You might also note that when I come up to the belt, when I get to there, I'm just lightly getting it there because I've just got to check my angles are right. And once I've got my angle and got it flat, then I'll start putting the pressure on. Yep. The other thing you might note I'm using is this improvised file guide that I made just out of stainless steel. And what that does, it keeps my plunge lines pretty even, but also you probably can't see it, but the belt is just probably about 1/4 of a millimeter that way. So I can put my file guide on the platen, and then I can bring it in and get it straight. So from there, that's what we'll keep going with the 60, and we'll get that in. I don't know if I said or not said, but I normally get one side better than the other. You can see there I've got a bit further to come down, so that there too, I'll start in here and just get that there and blend that, and I'll blend all that in with a 120 anyway if it's a bit messy. But yeah, I normally get one side better than the other due to the left-handed or right-handedness of the way people are, I guess. So yeah, we're getting there. So you might be able to see, hopefully, a little bit of waviness there, which I'll get out. The rest's pretty good on that side. That side there, I've gone up there a little bit, but it's only just scuffed it. You'll be able to hand sand that out. I need to bring that one up there a bit further, but we'll work on that. I'm going to go to the 120 now. I'm about just under a mil, I think, on that edge, and I'll get that down to less than half a mil before I finish. So I'll go to the 120, and we'll keep going. That side, like I say, I always get one side better than the other, but yeah, I'll try and get that there naturally up to where that one's got to be, so I'll remark it and carry on. So what I've done now is I've got I've gone down to the Trizac belt again, gone to the 60, the 120, and gone to the Trizac. I had a little bit of a notch in there due to the fact that, pushing that into there, I hit the platen there. I got way too high, hit the platen thing there, so that instead of going in flat, that kicked me out that way. So you've got to be a little careful of that. But anyway, that's all good enough. You'll be able to get that out with hand sanding. So that's the finish there. You can see it's still got lines. You could go finer grits and different grits and all the rest. But yeah, that'll be good enough for now, I think. That's what he wanted. He wanted the bevel going right up. So I've got that to about half a mil. You'll be able to sharpen that to an edge, I would imagine. And your hand sanding takes a bit of that out as well. So you give that a good hand sand. He'll get that up to what he needs. And hopefully he's happy with it. Yeah, and plunge lines are pretty good. But again, hand sanding can tidy all anything up there that you got. So the main things is that I got wrong. Like I say, I know I shouldn't go too high on that. I may lower this table in time. And yeah, it hit the top of the platen up here and kicked me over. That's what put that little kink, but you'll get that out. So it's just take a bit of care and a bit of time, keep it flat and go there. What I've also got on there, if you note, is I've got a carpet platen. It's just a normal platen that I make. And I've just cut out a bit of cardboard and put carpet platen and put it on there. What it does, it just gives it a bit of a blend. Also gives it a bit of a convex grind, a little bit. Yeah, quite good. So that, hopefully, that's good enough, what he wants. So yeah, that's about it really. My sort of thoughts on hand grinding. So yeah, we'll do a little outro and yeah, we'll call it a day. So there you have it, a little video on a bit of hardening and tempering the old 1084 and a bit of freehand grinding. yeah, it's come up not too bad. A little bit of hand sanding will clean that up and it'll be, yeah, pretty good in my opinion. So there you go. So this is only my thoughts and opinions as usual. Nobody sponsors me or pays me to do anything, so I just say whatever I think and do whatever I want, and that's exactly what you're saying. So that's good. Belts, I was talking about, yeah. What do you want to buy? What do you want to get? I guess you can't go wrong if you can afford them. The 3M Cubitron, you just can't beat it. This one here I've had for a long, long time. Fair while, 36 grit or 40 grit, can't remember. Can't even read what's in the inside of that. It's had a thrashing and it's still cutting like a demon. So that's pretty good. You also saw the old gator belt, Trizac or whatever they call them. Again, had this one a fair while. It's done a lot of work. It's an A45, and that's about the extent of what I can read in there because it's quite worn inside and still going hard. So those are good. Both of those are quite costly, but if you can afford them, I think they're probably worth it. Yeah, back to the zirconia, which we've been using. Will it last as long as a ceramic? I don't think so. Too early to tell, really, how good they're going to perform. Did this job, sort of knocked the edge off it a little bit, I must say. Yeah, I have had ceramic belts break on that machine before. That's why I'm a little bit nervous, but never had a zirconia break. I've never had a Cubitron break, and never had one of those Trizacs break or even the J-Flex. So just some of the ceramics, a certain brand, that's why I try and avoid them. So if I can't buy the brand I want, then yeah, I'll just buy zirconia or something else. These ones all should go all right. I'm happy with that so far. I'll get back to you on how I find the performance long term. But yeah, so that's about it for this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've maybe learned something, I don't know. But yeah, what I do hope really is that you find this video finds you safe and well and everybody's happy in what they're doing.